This is question 4 of my evaluation, where I will be answering the question, how did you use media technologies in your construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? In this question, I shall be referring to how I used my blog and managed to edit and upload posts onto my blog, and also how I managed to use WordPress to display my project. For this question, I shall be going through how and what types of technologies I needed to use for my research, planning, production and evaluation tasks. During the construction of my research, planning, production and my evaluation tasks, I use a variety of different media technologies which have helped to develop and improve the work for my project, which I have created and uploaded onto my blog. However, the technologies that I have used compares drastically to the technologies that I could have used if I had followed a simpler layout on a more basic blog, using only text and imagery. Thus, my work is significantly better than a normal unconventional blog. When I was completing my research and planning, it was created and posted on a blog website called WordPress. WordPress is one of the biggest blog posting websites in the world. We use WordPress as a media class instead of another service, such as Blogger, because WordPress has a better GUI, which is a graphical user interface, which allows us to be more creative and present our work in a wider variety of ways. WordPress was extremely helpful in the construction of my work because its superior content management system helped to organize my work appropriately using different methods made my work look more professional. However, despite different methods, using different methods made my work look more professional. However, despite the beneficial aspects of WordPress, there were some negative features which limited what we could do and how we were able to present our work. Because since we had to use the free version of WordPress, we couldn't monetize our website, upload our own themes to make it look better, upload actual videos, MP3 recordings, etc. Using a range of different categories on WordPress made my work appear more interesting and professional. However, I did encounter a few errors on WordPress, as it wouldn't let me upload a PowerPoint presentations as a slideshow. So, for instance, if I wanted to upload like a PowerPoint, then I would so for example, if I went and tried to upload an actual PowerPoint file, so for instance, let's just say I'm going to upload my character mise-en-scene PowerPoint. Even though I want it to come up as a slideshow, it will only come up as an actual link to the slideshow. So, to get around this issue, if I wanted to upload my PowerPoint in the format of a slideshow onto my blog, then I would have to go on to then I would go onto the file, export, and then I would need to change the file type in order to convert the PowerPoint slides into JPEG images. I would then save as, I then would save the images as, and like I've done here, I would save, and then I would export all slides. And just like what I did for my character mise-en-scene, which is right here, I go and add media. I would then upload them in the correct order, which was the order of the slides, onto my blog, and I would highlight the slides in backwards, so from slide 6 to slide 1, which will number them in the correct order. And then I would change it to slideshow so that it was in a slideshow view. And then, just like the one below, it will play the slides in the correct order. The main technology I used in the construction of my blog was the video sharing platform YouTube. As you can see, I've uploaded many videos on my blog. So here's one YouTube video I've uploaded onto my blog, which is my animatic. My auditions is in a video on YouTube. Props list is a video that I put on YouTube. Equipment required is a video that I put on YouTube, etc. So I didn't only use the platform YouTube for the research process, but also for some of my planning, production, final products, and indeed for some of my evaluation tasks, as I could have used other platforms such as Vimeo or Dailymotion, but I went with YouTube due to my normal day-to-day use with YouTube, thereby meaning that I am familiar and know my way around the platform and clearly understand its features and functions, and its own GUI mixture of a clean, simple posting service, thereby not having many complications. However, the key reason as to why I felt it was important that I use YouTube in comparison to other platforms is because YouTube is the most powerful and popular video sharing site in the world. Every minute, 100 hours of footage are posted onto that website, having over 1 billion users, which is a third of the internet users on the planet. It also has the second largest search engine behind the parent company Google, thereby distributing my tasks and my products onto YouTube. I am ensuring that my videos gain as much recognition as is possible. When uploading videos onto YouTube, when uploading videos onto YouTube, I would first sign into my account, where I would then go onto upload. and then select the videos files that I wish to upload onto my channel. I will then name the file after the name of the task, so for example question 1 for my evaluation. Then I would publish my video, which would thereby make it visible to the public. Then using the embedded link, I will copy and paste it under the summary of my task. So as you can see, I then copy and paste the I just copy and paste the link directly under the title, which will then allow me to view and play the YouTube video on my blog, or I could simply go onto the I could which will allow me to play the video here, or I could simply press on the title, which will redirect me to the YouTube site where I can play the video. And it will also allow me to subscribe and comment below on my videos. Furthermore, for my raw footages, which is posted right here. I had decided to feature them on YouTube. However, if I had embedded the links onto my blog as individual files, then I would have had too many files, which would have caused complications by making my blog appear unprofessional and overcrowded. Therefore, once I had uploaded all of my footages onto my YouTube channel, I then went back onto my YouTube channel. I went on to Creator. I then went back onto my YouTube channel. I then go on to Creator Studio. I would then it would then display all of the videos that I have already uploaded. I then went on to Video Manager, and then Playlists, and then I would create a new playlist. Oops. And then I would just call it raw footage of short film, like the one I've already created. Then I did this so that I would have to embed a single link to feature on my blog, which would make it appear less cluttered and much neater to viewers. So therefore it would only be one link I would need to export, and it would just come up with 49 files as a playlist. So I then pressed on edit. I then edited the playlist, and then I just clicked add, and add all of my footages that I had filmed, or home footages that I had already filmed in the past and was going to feature in my short film. For my research tasks, I needed to use a website called surveymonkey.com to gather information and to ensure that I understood my target audience. So I logged into the website. And created a new survey. So then I just write in a survey name, and then I just create survey, and then, so for example, then I just came up with 10 questions for my survey. These questions were going to help me understand what I was going to do for my project, which was also going to give me a lot of ideas for what I should include on my proposal. Furthermore, in order to receive the feedback that I needed to complete my research, I sorry, just give me a minute. I then needed to embed the link. Which I copied and pasted onto my blog so that so that people could answer my survey. I needed about at least 20 responses. So I pasted it on my blog so that anyone could answer my survey, and I needed about 20 responses. Once I had enough responses and information, I need to show on my blog that I'd analysed my survey. Therefore, I opened up PowerPoint. So then I opened up PowerPoint. I went onto File. So once I had enough responses, I need to show on my blog that I had analysed my results. Therefore, I opened up PowerPoint. I had to print screen shots of my survey results, and then included some text stating these were my questions, these were my responses, and I then stated what I was going to do with that information. And then once I had finished the PowerPoint, I went onto File, Export, change file type, and then changed it to JPEG images. Then so like so. And then once I had exported them, the PowerPoint as JPEG images, to include them, I simply added new, and I highlighted the file names backwards, which will number them in the correct order, like so. Oops. So that is what I did for SurveyMonkey and for my research task. Whilst completing my planning tasks, I needed to create a script for my short film so that the actors had instructions and directions for filming. So I needed to use the applications like Word, which I had already used multiple times during my project, and Celtx, which is an application used when producing scripts or transcripts. To begin with, I had initially written a draft version of my script in Word. So that I had already planned what I was going to write for my script on Celtx, so that when I was completing the real script, also when I was completing the real script, I would already know what to write, and it would speed up the process of the task in hand. So once I had written what I needed to write, I then saved my work. So I went on to typeset, and then saved it as a PDF file. And then I just pressed on save. I then, so once I'd written what I needed to write, I then saved my work and added the file onto my blog. So I then added the file onto my blog to demonstrate the method of how I created my script. So that is how I managed to create my script. And then it turned out like... Oops. It will come out like this. So, when it came to actually writing up my script onto Celtx, I opened the application like I've just done, and all I needed to do for my script was type in the scene heading. So for example, scene 1. Then I would need to type in the action. So for example, 2 people standing in corridor. And then character. So, oops, enter, character. So for example, Dion Hosseini. and then it will go into dialogue, and then I'll say hi. So as I said, the scene headings, the action, the name of the character, and any lines that the character may have. Once I had finished typing up my script, I then typed in the short film title. So, in this instance, My Inner Voice. So I had to type in the title, and then I had to put in the name of the director or the producer, Dion Hosseini. And once I then exported it by going on to Typeset PDF, because I need to export it as a PDF file. Click Save. And then I simply click Save, and then added the file onto my blog like I've just shown. When referring to my equipment list task that I did, in terms of the actual filming that was needed for my short film or for any of my tasks, I required a phone camera, a PowerSoft Screen Recorder Pro application, and a video game recorder capture box. First of all, the phone camera that I used for my shooting and for some of my tasks was an iPhone 6s. The camera that I used has 12 megapixels, therefore I know that whatever I capture will be of a good quality. The device that I use is very light and portable, so it is easy for the cameraman to handle this piece of equipment when filming and produce good quality takes. So this is my laptop that I used. As you see, it's got a lot of softwares, one of which is Movie Studio Platinum 12.0, which is what I use for my editing, and of course Windows Movie Maker. However, they weren't used for actually filming. Although I need to use an application known as a PowerSoft Screen Recorder Pro, which is right here, which I have used on my personal laptop, which allowed me to record my online Skype footages for my short film, processes tasks for my blog, etc. As you can see from what I am currently recording, both the picture and my microphone quality is very high. So the quality is very high, so I'm able to produce good quality footages when needed. This software is fairly simple to use by opening the application, clicking on the record button, which will then display a toolbar, which will thereby state how long you've been recording for, and it will also give you options to pause the recording, to stop the recording, etc. And finally, in order to record the PS3 scenes, I used a video game recorder capture box, which allowed me to record the footages needed for my short film on the PS3 game, which was being played in the console, which was being connected via HDMI cable to the television. Furthermore, the television that I own is high definition, which was beneficial for me when capturing good quality takes. During the editing process of my footages, I needed to use Windows Movie Maker and Movie Studio Platinum 12.0 software applications to edit my footages to create my short film. First of all, I went on to Movie Studio Platinum 12.0, where I uploaded, here is my finished short film project, as you can see. So first off, I uploaded all of my footages, so I went on to File, Import, selected all of this, and then just pressed open, and then it all came up. And then once that was done, I just dragged all of them onto a timeline. I just dragged all of them onto here. So for example, yeah, I just drag it from here to here. So that is how I moved it. I then placed them, I constructed them in a timeline order of my life so that it was in the correct order. I then deleted the scenes that weren't really necessary, because I needed to make sure that I needed to shorten the length of my short film because it was too long. So I just deleted the ones that weren't really as important. Furthermore, I also, if you're wondering how I managed to change the black and white filter on my videos, so with every footage there is this thing called Event FX. So you just press that. I should just demonstrate with another one. So I just move it here, Event FX, black and white, add OK, and there you have it. And that is how I added my visual effects and managed to change all my footages so that they were black and white. In reference to how I managed to put the text in the title, so what I did was that I went to Insert, Text Media, and then I just written the text My Inner Voice. I changed it. I then just changed the size, and I then changed the font. Right. So I changed the size to about 39, and at first my font was OCR Extended, which is what it was in my first draft. So OCR Extended was this, but then in my second draft I changed it to Franklin Gothic Medium, which is the one I implemented in my second draft, which ended up being the font that I used in my final product. And then in relation as to how I managed to fade in and out of scenes, first of all, I just check the resolution of the project. It says 1920 to 1080, so now I know. I went on to Paint, press Paint, zoom out so I have a clear view. Changed it to just move things around here to change it to 1920 to 1080. But usually it is like this. So I then File, Save. So I had one with a white background. It's already white, so I File, Save in my short film project folder. Where I then created a folder called Fades, where I have a white one and a black one. In terms of how I managed to create the black one, I basically just drew a bit of black, zoomed in a bit, then just extended the image so that it looks completely black. Then I press File, Save As, Video, short film project, Fades, and then I just save that as a black fade as well. I then go back, I then drag in both the white fade and the black fade where it's needed. So in reference to the, so I went back into Movie Studio Platinum 12.0, which is the main place that I have edited my final product. I then placed both the black fades and the white fades where they're needed, and made sure that every time I added in a white or a black fade that it crossfades 2.5 seconds before the scene ends and 2.5 seconds from when the scene begins. So I move it here. So if I was going to do a scene, I'd move it like here. I made sure that it was in exactly on time, 2.5 seconds before, 2.5 seconds after, so there's equal in time. And then in relation to the white fade music, I just sampled it from YouTube. So I went on to YouTube, as you can see. I typed in dramatic sound effect so that I can get like some memory flashback effect to demonstrate the moments of my life. I pressed on the second one. It lasts about 15 seconds. Obviously, that is kind of dramatic, and I only really needed the first 5 seconds, which I actually, because the first 5 seconds of it were actually really good. So I just went on, so I just copied the link, went on to telechargeunavideo.com, and pasted the link, and then just downloaded it into MP3. So this is the site I used to change it into MP3. So yeah. Then once I downloaded it, I then went into Windows Movie Maker to edit it in order to shorten it. But so I went on to, so here was the one I did for my flashback music. So what I did, I just pressed title, I got rid of the text, so I just pressed title, I got rid of the text that was in it, then just shortened the video length to about 5 seconds. I then pressed home, add music, I imported the sound. I then made the fade in and fade out fast so that the sound doesn't cut and it doesn't sound, you know, incomplete or unprofessional. And then I just included like the first like near 5 seconds of the near beginning of the video, because towards the end it sounds a bit off and doesn't sound right. And it just sounds a bit too loud and dramatic, and I just wanted a sound effect that will capture that element of flashbacks and memories. So once that was done, I pressed save movie, and sorry, I should go back and show this. Then pressed file, save move. Oh, sorry. So once that was done, I pressed File, Save Movie for Computer, and exported it as exported the file as an MP4. But then again, I needed it to be an MP3, so I went onto this website called cloudconvert.com. Select files, flashback music, MP4 to MP3, start conversion. Once it was done, I pressed download. Then I moved it here. I press File, Import Media, include the flashback music, and then you will find it around about here. And then I then moved it, and then I placed it here so that it crossfaded with the sound of the videos, the footages. And then as well as that, I took an image of one of my Skype conversations, actually, which is I'm just going to go back into my project. Images, and I have this image of an old Skype conversation I had in 2013 with Ahmed or something. And basically what I did is I went onto Paint, and then I just covered the message just like I did with the black thing, I just covered the message with white so that it looks like the message is getting sent to me as the thing goes along. So here is what it looked like. So covered it with white, and then slowly it unveils, and it's just 3 separate images, but it looks like a Skype conversation is actually happening. In order to make it look like he's actually sending me the messages, I went and I sampled a Skype notification sound effect. So I went onto YouTube. A Skype notification sound effect. Once that was done, I downloaded it and imported it by pressing Add Music, going into the download section, and then finding the Skype notification sound. I then added it to every part when the message was sent, so twice. And then I have this. So it looks like he's sending me the message now. And then once that was done, I pressed File, Save Movie, for Computer, and exported it as an MP4. So then I have this. And then I went back onto Movie Studio Platinum 12.0 and uploaded it onto my short film project. In relation as to, furthermore, in terms of the music that I played, I just pressed Import Media and then just included the tracks that I made myself on Logic Pro X, which is a software, and I'll be showing how I did this in a different task. But first off, so I just placed them and imported them onto my project. So import media, soundtrack, and here are all the ones that I've done. So I just pressed them and imported the ones that I wanted, because I made a few, and I just chose the ones which I thought would sound the best, and the most relevant with the footages that I went with. However, when I recorded them, some of them were a bit overpowering and too loud, and just, you know, overpowered the narration. So therefore I had to lower the gain to about 3.1 to -4 decibels, and also I have to, like, there has to be a long period before the music in terms of the fade out or fade in, the offset has to, like, it had to take a while for it to fade in and out, so that it looks and sounds more natural in the actual product when so it actually sounds more natural, and it's almost like, oh, you don't notice when the music is leaving you or has left you. So there is, and also I just placed them so there was almost in time with some of the narration, and that it sounds nice. Finally, in relation as to how I recorded narration, I used a website called online-voice-recorder.com, which I will show you right now. So online-voice-recorder.com. Run Adobe Flash, pressed record. Well, I just so I have 8 recordings, 8 lines I need to say. I have a script of what narration I'm going to say. I just read from here and then I just say it. So here is how I use it. So I just press allow and then it just records. So, hello, my name is Dion Hosseini, for example. And then press pause. Once I said what I said, I press save. And then once that is done, you press click save, and then you save it, and then you will have, and then once I recorded everything I needed to, I ended up with 8 different recordings of my voice, which I then included and I implemented onto the sound effects side. So in the end, I have 4 different sounds which I included on my short film project, which are music, the narration, which I included on the sound effects tab, and the voice, and the fades, which are here, as you can see, which crossfade with the narration, which crossfade with the voice of the footage, sorry. So once I'd read from the script on the document, I just spoke into the microphone and I saved it and imported it onto here. So that is how I managed to do everything that I did on my final product, and that is how I managed to produce it and edit it and create it. Finally, one thing I forgot to mention is that for one of my videos, I had to put my one of my footages in the motorway in slow motion. In reference as to how I did that, I just pressed on both the scenes. I then ended up trimming them using the trim tool. I then ended up editing the time zone so that they were the length I wanted. I then slowed them so they were about 0.75. Actually, let me just check. So they were about 0.6x. So that was the speed of the video. And then once that was done, I pressed save movie for computer. I saved it. I then imported it onto my short film project. Well, I named it Motorway Slow Motion because I needed it to be in time with the music, and also the fact that the feet, you know, like the movement is slow, it allows it to have that more dramatic effect. So yeah, it ended up like this. There. So yes, that was the last bit that I needed to include. In relation to the soundtrack of my short film, I decided that to make my film that much more personal, that I needed to create my own music using scores from MuseScore, and then writing in the notes on Logic Pro X, which is a software program that I'm experienced in using, as I'm also in the process of taking my music technology A-level course. First of all, I went on to musescore.com. And then, which is where I decided to source my music scores that I covered for my short film. I then searched in the names of the scores or tracks that I wanted to get the score of. So, for example, I typed in Rose's Theme, which is one of the piano tracks I ended up using for my short film. It will come up with a list of searches. And then it's just a case of finding the right score. So here are a few examples. So there's Heavy Rain Piano Suite. There is When She Loved Me, which is a song by Sarah McLachlan. And then there is Rose's Theme. This website was very handy, as it also allowed me to play the scores that it had to offer, thereby allowing me to double check that the correct notes were inputted. So I then played, so as you can see, I played the track like so. I then go on to YouTube, which is a platform that I use to compare the score to a published piano cover of the track that I wanted to cover. So, for instance, I went on to the Heavy Rain piano suite, like so. And I found the video that I want, and then I compare the YouTube video to the score just by listening to the YouTube video and the score version, so I can check the notes were inputted correctly on MuseScore. I now know that just by comparing it, I can now tell you that the notes inputted on the score were all implemented correctly. Also, so right now I'm just checking the YouTube video just by comparing it. And also, when choosing scores, I decided that it may be a good idea to feature other instruments as well. So, for example, When She Loved Me song by Sarah McLachlan includes a clarinet as well as the piano score. However, I didn't use a clarinet as I didn't feel it was necessary. However, I did end up including a variety of strings for the track Nobody Knows by Pink, which was vital as the track sounded too basic with just the piano on its own. Once I had, so right now I'm just checking the Sarah McLachlan track, and then just listening and comparing to make sure that I am familiar with around all of my scores and the sound of them. Once I had chosen the files that I was going to use, I then needed to export them. So first of all, I click on download. But first of all, I needed to sign in, like so. I then go on to download the file. I export it as a PDF file, save the file onto my computer, and then print out the score that I had chosen for my short film, which is what I did to get my music scores for the soundtrack of my film, to make my short film that much more interesting to the audience. To create my track, I needed to use an Apple Mac computer from within school, and I also needed to use the software application which is already installed on their systems called Logic Pro X. I am now going to demonstrate how I was able to create one of my tracks, which is the prologue section of the Heavy Rain piano suite. Using the software application, I would input software instruments, as you can see. Then by referring to my score, as you can see, Heavy Rain piano suite, I would then input the notes onto the software instruments, like so. So here is an example of the notes I've already inputted on my software instruments. So this is what I've already inputted, and this is what it looks like currently. This file was actually my first draft, which I then developed by adding auxiliary effects such as EQ, compression, etc. to make it sound exactly like the actual version that I was attempting to cover. In terms of how I managed to export the file, you go onto File, like so. And then bounce, then you click on project or section. And as you can see, the files are all ready to export as an MP3 file. So then you click bounce again, and then you name the file whatever you want to. And then you click bounce again, which will then, once you bounce it, it will then create an MP3 version of the track that you want.
Mainly for when I was producing my film poster and my article, I required the use of Adobe InDesign CS6. To start up the program, I would simply create a new document, and then all the settings would be the same, so I wouldn't change any of the settings, and then I just press OK. As you can see, there are various tools that I was able to utilize here. All the tools that I needed to produce any of my tasks or products was text, shapes, and images. First of all, I needed to create shapes for when I needed to create stars to show the star ratings given from reviewers, or for when I needed to include a footer for the bottom of my article, and so on. So I simply pressed on the shape tool, and then it comes up with 3 different options: rectangle tool, ellipse tool, and polygon tool. So for example, if I wanted to create a star, I'd go on the polygon tool. I simply press on the shape that I wanted. I then sized it, so for example a star, so that it was the appropriate and correct size, and then I simply moved it into the place that I wanted it to be in. Furthermore, I needed to manipulate my images so that I could place them onto my film poster drafts, article drafts, and so on.
So in terms of how I managed to get my images and applied them to my products and tasks, first of all, I went onto the second draft of my short film, which was on the software application that I used during the editing process, which was Movie Studio Platinum 12.0. I went onto my second short film draft, because this is the draft which contained the majority of my footages, thereby giving me a wide variety of images to choose from. Let's just wait for it to load. What I ended up doing was that I moved along onto each frame until I got the right angle, as you can see. Then I previewed the take to see if the quality was potentially blurry or bad quality for an image that was going to be featured on an article, for instance. I unfortunately you can't see it on here because the preview doesn't come up on the when recording my screen. Anyway, but it was good. So I then saved the snapshot into the folder, where, as you can see, I have screenshotted 20 different images, which I believed would be potentially used for my film poster, my article, or whatever other task needed.
Then I went on to the Adobe InDesign CS6 application and placed any images that I needed. So I would crop them and resize them, then move it into the position that I needed. Perfect. In relation to text, I basically typed in what I needed. So, for example, my inner voids. This is just an example. I could do loads of things. I could change the color. So I'll go into such as color. I could change it to pink if I wanted to. So I could just change the color to pink, for example. However, if I wanted to change the border, as you can see, there is two bits. There's one which says fill. There's one which says stroke. So if you want to change the stroke, you press on the stroke. And for example, if you want to change it to black, then the border will come out as black. And if you want to change the fill to yellow, for instance, then it will come out as yellow. This application allowed me to move the text up and down. So for example, here. Oh, whoops. Here. So this allowed me to move the text up and down. It allowed me to change the fonts. So for example, I'm going to change it to the font that I used for my short film, which is Franklin Gothic Medium. So I changed the fonts to what I needed, etc. I was also able to change the size, so I can make it smaller, I can make it bigger. Let's make it nice and big. And so on. So in general, this software application had a various range of tools that I required to produce my film poster, my article, or any other tasks where I required Adobe InDesign CS6.